Before the world awakens, there is a suspended moment, both fragile and powerful. The sky is still veiled in silence, and the streets, the houses, the heart seem asleep in a collective breath. It is an hour when nothing moves, when time seems to hesitate between night and day. And in this interval, a discreet call pierces the night. As-salat khairun min an-nawm, prayer is better than sleep. A reminder that pierces the darkness to reach directly to the soul. The believer hears, and a battle begins immediately. It is not a battle against an external enemy, but an intimate struggle against the weight of his own nafs, against the temptation of comfort, against the laziness that chains him to the warm mattress. The voice of his heart whispers to him, "Get up! Your Lord is waiting for you." But another voice, heavier, more perfidious, whispers, "Stay a little longer, sleep a little longer, you are tired." Between these two murmurs, the man hesitates, and the imprint of his entire day depends on his choice. Rising in the night is an invisible victory that no one sees, but which changes one's entire existence. He who gives in to sleep abandons himself to ease. He who rises chooses dignity. For it is not just a gesture, it is a declaration. "O Allah, I have preferred you to myself. I have preferred you to my comfort. I have chosen you above all." The cold water of ablution awakens the body, but even more, it purifies the heart. Each drop that flows washes away the invisible traces of negligence, forgetfulness, and distraction. And when the believer stands before his Lord, his forehead turned toward the Qibla, his soul is freed from the grip of sleep and the heaviness of the earth. In that moment, the silence of the night becomes witness. The angels record this obedience in their book. And the believer tastes a serenity that nothing in the material world can offer. There is a light in far that only those who have tasted it know. It is not the light of the rising sun, but an inner clarity. He who prays at this hour feels his chest expand, his heart calm, his thoughts clear. The Prophet said, "The dawn prayer is heavier than all the rest, for the angels of the night and the day bear witness to it." Muslim, two worlds intersect, two armies of angels follow one another, and you are there, in the center, standing, prostrate, honored to be seen and heard. But think, how many times have you let this moment pass you by? How many times has sleep gotten the better of you? What if this night had been your last? What if the dawn you were waiting for had never come to you? What would have been the final trace of your life? Laziness or prostration? The nafs loves comfort, but the heart loves Allah. And it is up to you to decide who governs. Ibn al-Qayyim said, "The heart has no rest until it is in the proximity of its Lord." And closeness often begins there, in this silent struggle against the call of sleep. This moment before dawn is an arena where souls are forged. The greatest men, the wisest, the most pious rose in this darkness to nourish their light. The Prophet, even when his feet swelled from long prayers, continued. His companions, despite wars, travels, fatigue, rose for this secret meeting with Allah. It was not only a duty, it was an honor. Every morning, Allah gives you a new chance to prove where your heart is. And every morning the question remains the same. And you, what do you choose at dawn? The ease of bed or the honor of prostration? Allah says, "Indeed, in the remembrance of Allah do hearts find rest." Surah 13:28. And again, "Whoever puts his trust in Allah, He is sufficient for him." Surah 65:3. These verses are not just words to be recited. They are keys. Keys that unlock the deepest doors of the human heart. When the believer stands up at far and pronounces the name of his Lord, he is not merely performing an act. He is actually laying down his burden. He is entrusting his worries, his future, his entire soul to the one who holds all exits. In the silence of dawn, when the world is still asleep, the man standing in prayer becomes a living witness to this divine promise. He who remembers Allah finds peace. It is a peace that neither money nor power nor worldly pleasures can offer. It is a peace that does not depend on circumstances, but on anchoring your heart in the remembrance of your Creator. The Quran describes this intimate bond between the servant and his Lord as a refuge. Whoever puts his trust in Allah, He is sufficient for him. 65:3. How many fears would disappear if you truly made this verse your certainty? How many anxieties would dissipate if you placed your heart in the hands of Allah instead of surrendering it to the torments of the world? Every far, a new page of your life opens. You don't know what it contains, you don't know if it will be written with trials or reliefs, losses or victories. But what you can choose is how to begin it. You can open this page with the remembrance of Allah, with Ayat al Kursi, with words that proclaim His greatness, His royalty, His protection. Then even if the day brings you its storms, your heart will already have a solid anchor, absolute trust. Allah says, "And whoever fears Allah, He will make a way out for him and provide for him from where he does not expect it. Surah 65:2-3. Do you not feel that these verses are a caress for the restless soul? Every time you struggle to get up, every time you fight your sleep, Allah opens an invisible door for you. He gives you strength you did not see, help you did not expect. This is why Fajr is not just another prayer. It is a declaration of total dependence on Allah. You say to your Creator, "O Allah, I have entrusted my day to you before it begins. I have entrusted my trials to you before they appear. I have entrusted my heart to you before the world tries to break it." The Prophet said, "Whoever recites Ayat al Kursi after every obligatory prayer, nothing prevents him from entering paradise except death." Anasai. What if at Fajr, even before your mind is taken up with worldly affairs, you covered your heart with this divine protection? Every word of Ayat al Kursi is an invisible wall, every verse a light that dispels the darkness of fear and doubt. When you say, "Allah, there is no God but He, the living, the self-subsisting," 2:255, you remind your soul that everything depends on Him. Neither your health, nor your work, nor your relationships, nor even your breath depends on you. Everything rests on the one who never sleeps, who never weakens, who never forgets. So why should your heart tremble? Allah has given us a secret. Dhikr is the rest of the heart. The more you remember Him, the more your heart becomes at peace. And the more you turn away from Him, the more your heart becomes restless, worried, lost. This is why Fajr is a medicine. It heals inner wounds, it calms the storms of the soul. But think, who do you give your heart to at the beginning of each day? Do you give it to the world, to your fears, to your ambitions, to your comfort, or to Allah? When the first word of your morning is Allahu Akbar, then everything else loses its weight. The Quran teaches us that worldly life is but a game and an illusion, but Fajr brings you back to eternal reality. And in that pre-dawn prostration, you wordlessly utter a promise, "O Allah, I belong to you, guide me, protect me, and fill me with yourself." Every morning the question remains, where does your heart place its trust? In the illusions of this world, or in the certainty of Allah who never disappoints? Before the sun touched the horizon, before the birds broke the silence of the night, there were men who arose with the certainty that the world was not only what it seemed. These men, the companions of the Prophet, knew that true strength was not found in weapons or wealth, but in the heart awakened by the remembrance of Allah. They rose before dawn, not to follow an imposed ritual, but to place themselves in the invisible light that precedes all victory. Omar ibn al-Khattab, whose determination forged empires and communities, said, "The greatest wealth of a man is his heart alive with the remembrance of Allah." This simple but profound saying reveals a secret that many ignore. Material or social victories are nothing without the clarity and inner vitality of the heart. And this vitality, he drew every morning from the Fajr prayer, in those moments when the world seemed to sleep and only the Lord watched. Abu Bakr, the first of the believers after the Prophet, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him, rose with the dawn and performed his prayer before the streets came alive. He knew that the beginning of the day determined the rhythm of the soul. He reported that he had never known a day of patience, courage, or success that did not begin with the blessing of Fajr. And Ali, whose wisdom illuminated every decision and every action, shared this silent discipline. For them, prayer was not just an act of worship, but fuel for one's entire life. Imagine these men standing in the cool of dawn, their breath visible in the cold air, their foreheads bowed to the ground, and their hearts vibrating with a living connection to Allah. In this silence, the stars still clinging to the sky seemed to bear witness to their commitment. Each prostration, each word whispered in the secrecy of the night, forged a courage that would not waver in the face of life's storms. The battles, the trials, the losses, and the successes only further illuminated this inner light already nourished by the remembrance of Allah. Their days began with a discipline that seems so simple today, but required immense inner strength. Rising before dawn broke the darkness, purifying oneself, reciting sacred verses, meditating on the words of the Prophet, and entering into the silence of prostration. All of this forged a soul capable of patience, endurance, and wisdom. These companions knew that the physical light of the sun was only a reflection of the spiritual light they carried within them through Fajr. They also understood that this discipline was not just for themselves, but for generations to come. Their example would shape societies, guide hearts, and teach future believers that lasting success is not measured by possessions or power, but by steadfastness in the remembrance of Allah and the ability to get up when everyone else is still asleep. The Sunnah is full of stories that illustrate this power. Abu Huraira reported that the Prophet said, The 2 rak'ahs of far are better than this world and all that is in it. Muslim, imagine the value that those nighttime moments carried, a reward that surpasses all earthly riches. And yet, this value is only manifested when the heart is awakened and man chooses the light of dawn over the warmth of sleep. And you, spectator, what will you choose? What will be your silent discipline? Do your days begin with the tumult of the world or with the silence of far, where your heart connects with the eternal? If you could walk in the footsteps of the Sahaba even once, feel the freshness of dawn, hear the silence before the city awakens, and sense the power of prayer that precedes all, would you not be transformed? Ibn Qayyim al-Jawziyya said, "The value of man lies in the degree of his inner awakening and his closeness to Allah. This awakening, this moment before daybreak, is a training for your soul. It shapes courage, purifies the heart, and builds endurance that will survive the most difficult trials." Every morning, the companions rose to affirm that dependence on Allah was stronger than any fear, any doubt, any human weakness. And today, even though the world has changed, the truth remains the same. Far is a meeting with inner strength. Sleep may seem sweet, but it does not nourish the soul. Dawn, on the other hand, is an invisible weapon, a secret of the righteous, a treasure that only those who rise can touch. So, it's your turn to ask yourself the question, are you ready to rise before the world does? Are you ready to stand in the freshness of dawn to nourish your heart, strengthen your courage, and anchor your life in the remembrance of Allah? Every second of this choice forges your soul, shapes your day, and prepares your steps for the trials of this world and the hereafter. Morning advances gently, and with it a fragile, almost imperceptible light caresses the sleeping world. But for one who stands in the silence of far, a far deeper light awakens within. Ayat al Kursi, recited in this freshness, becomes more than a verse. It becomes an invisible armor, a protective envelope that crosses time and space to reach the heart. Each word, each syllable, is a sentinel that repels the darkness. Each breath that utters it is a ray of light that penetrates to the soul. Allah. There is no God but Him, the living, the self-subsisting. Surah 2:255. Try to listen to these words as if you had never heard a verse before. Don't let the sound slip away, but let it resonate, flow through your veins, soak your thoughts, and flood your heart. Feel this truth. Your heart belongs neither to this world nor to its illusions, nor to your fears or desires. It rests solely in the hands of the one who never sleeps, the one who knows what you hide even from yourself, the one who sees the invisible and holds the infinite. Every morning these words offer you refuge. Like a gentle breeze on a face burned by worry, like clear water in a parched valley, Ayat al Kursi brings serenity to those who are willing to surrender to it. The stars fade, the sky brightens, and yet this clarity remains invisible to the world. It exists only for those who turn to Allah. Your heart, fragile and vulnerable, becomes strong, protected by a light that neither fear nor loneliness can extinguish. Imagine for a moment that each word you speak rises like a wall around your soul. Doubts fade away, worries dissipate like fog under the morning sun. Your breath, aligned with each sacred word, becomes a silent melody that lifts your spirit. And in that moment, you realize that nothing of this world has power over you, nothing has control of your heart, for it is rooted in the one who never weakens. The Prophet taught that dhikr, the remembrance of Allah, is the nourishment of the heart. And Ayat al Kursi, recited in the cool of the morning, is one of the most precious nourishments. It not only provides protection against enemies, visible or invisible, but it also strengthens the soul against doubt, fear, and spiritual fatigue. Like a tree whose roots are deep in fertile soil, the heart anchored in these words finds stability and life, even when the storms of the world threaten to uproot everything. In this intimacy with the Creator, time seems to stand still. The noises of the world fade, worries remain at the door, and everything that exists is reduced to this unique moment, to this inner voice that proclaims the greatness of Allah. Feel it. Your heart does not need human certainties, worldly validations, or possessions. It needs His light, His protection, His invisible but palpable presence. And then the question arises naturally in the silence. If Allah called you now, what would He find in your heart? Would it be a pure heart, filled with trust and gratitude, or would it be a heart cluttered with grudges, neglect, and regrets? Each recitation of Ayat al Kursi at far is an opportunity to purify this heart, to refocus it, to fill it with His light before the tumult of the world enters it. Visualize each word that rises from your lips as a drop of light in the night. Imagine this light forming a cocoon around you, protecting you from everything you fear, from everything that could destabilize you. Each breath becomes a reminder that you belong to Allah, and that the world, with its vicissitudes, cannot make you waver. Even though your days are filled with stress, challenges, and confrontations, this moment afar remains your invisible sanctuary. No one sees it, no one can measure it, but it transforms you, it nourishes you, it prepares you. And you walk through the day with a strong heart, a clear mind, and a confidence that only true Dhikr can provide. As the first rays of the sun break through the horizon, you understand that the outer light is only a reflection of the inner light you now carry. The poetry of this moment lies in its simplicity. A heart at peace, protected by the divine word, a breath harmonized with the will of the one who is living and eternal. Every morning this question remains: if Allah called you now, what would He find in your heart? And every morning the answer is yours. Choose to recite, to meditate, to let His words transform your soul. Let Ayat al Kursi be your invisible armor, your shield against anything life might try to impose. Let this light guide you, nourish you, protect you again and again. The Prophet said, "The dawn prayer is heavier than all the rest, for the angels of the night and the day bear witness to it." Muslim. So ask yourself, what would you do if your faith depended on a single act today? Begin your day with Salat Al Fajr, with Ayat al Kursi, with the remembrance of Allah. You will see that peace will descend upon you, and that nothing in this world will be able to break your heart.